Metal Jesus here, and it's been a while since I've done a pickups video. Now what that is where I show you some of the games I've collected for the different consoles over the last couple months. And typically I go to pawn shops, Goodwill, Craigslist, and even typical stores like GameStop. And I've got 10 different consoles represented here, so there's a lot to get through, so let's get started. Alright, so the first console I'm going to dig into here is the original Xbox. A couple games for that, and the first one is Stubbs the Zombie. Now I've been looking for this for quite a while, and this has got a little bit of a following. It's a budget title, but it's made by some of the ex-developers from Bungie who have made Halo, as you may know. And this is a pretty fun game. I finished it this week, and I'm going to be doing a review on it next week. Be looking for that. Next up is it's a classic RPG called Arx Fatalis. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. This reminds me of Ultima Underworlds, if you are an old school gamer and remember that. It's also kind of hard to find. Another hard to find Xbox game is Call of Cthulhu. And this game sounds pretty crazy. It's I don't know if you are familiar with H.P. Lovecraft, but this looks like a lot of fun. For the Sega Genesis, I got Chaka Khan. I don't know what this is. I don't know how to pronounce this, but anyways, kind of beat up cartridge, but looks pretty cool. A shooter that I've been looking for quite a while is Raiden Trad. Not sure why it's pronounced that way, but actually, a buddy of mine came over a couple weeks ago, had never played this game. And he got so far into it, I was so jealous that he was just like in the zone. You know how you get in the zone with some of those games? He was kicking butt. The next game I got for the Genesis, Mickey Mania. And this game is a lot of fun, actually. This is an excellent platformer. I played it a ton, and it's difficult, but it's not unfair. As you learn the levels, it seems like you just are able to get further and further, and this is awesome. Dr. Robotnik's The Mean Bean Machine. This looks a lot like a Tetris clone. And I love Tetris, and so getting another one of these games is fun. The classic Earthworm Jim. Gotta get this one. Next up, Mercs. This was a Goodwill find here for, I think I paid $1 for it. Phantom 2040. Another kind of random game I picked up. I didn't know much about it. And it actually reminds me of Metroid. It's kind of similar to that a little bit. And finally for the Genesis, Twin Cobra. I'm kind of in the mood for shooters lately, and getting some shooters on the Genesis is a good way to go. Next up, just randomly here, I picked up a Dreamcast game. This is Kiss Psycho Circus, The Nightmare Child. And I don't have high hopes for this, but it's got Kiss. I'm a huge Kiss fan, had to buy it. Got that one off Craigslist. Next up, a random sort of Goodwill find for the Atari 7800, which is this game called Cracked. And I didn't know anything about this, but it looked kind of weird, and I was like, oh yeah, I gotta get this. You know, one of the funny things is that when I'm going to look for games, especially for the Atari 7800, I always forget what I have, because I don't always play that console. And so sometimes I'm looking at a game, on the shelf, I'm like, do I have Joust for that? Because I can never remember if it's for the 5200 or, I don't know. I need to get a phone that has my entire game collection on it so that when I'm standing in the store, I can sort of remember, what I have for some of these more obscure consoles like that. For the Atari 2600, also a Goodwill find, Porky's. Now, for you youngins, Porky's was kind of a raunchy 1980s comedy, and I have no idea what this game is. It probably sucks, but I liked Porky's as a kid, and so I had to get the game. A little bit newer stuff here. Yes, I do buy new games. Fable III for the Xbox 360, and love this game. It's very similar to the second one, but my wife and I played through it twice, both as good and evil. That was a lot of fun. Need for Speed Hot Pursuit. This is by the makers of Criterion, who make the Burnout games, and I was really looking forward to this, and for the most part, I like it a lot. I actually really like playing it online, and I'm not an online kind of guy. I don't play a lot of multiplayer online, but that's a lot of fun. And then finally, I picked up the Chronicles of Riddick. This is the remake that they remade for the Xbox 360. This was originally released on the original Xbox, and they just updated the graphics and stuff like that. And they also created a whole new second adventure in here. So looking forward to jumping into this. For the Nintendo 64, I was happy to find Ridge Racer 64 in the box, in perfect condition. Another classic arcade racer here. Star Wars Rogue Squadron. Love me some good Star Wars games. This is a fun little find. And then a game I have no idea what it's about, called Body Harvest. And actually, I'm having a hard time getting this to run. Sometimes I can run it on my N64, and sometimes it doesn't run. So I may need to clean the cartridge. On the GameCube, I was looking around and found the Donkey Kong Kongas. These are pretty cool. There's a little button, or there's a little microphone here, and a little button here. And there's a couple games that support this thing, and basically the first one is Donkey Konga, and this is kind of, it reminds me a lot of Rock Band today, where it has sort of the side-scrolling kind of notes that you sort of pound on to music. It's a lot of fun. I would say this is not a great title. I only paid $5 for all of this, these two things right here. So, but the game that supports it that is a lot of fun is called Jungle Beat, and this is a platformer, but it's designed for the congas, and so this is actually a lot of fun. I've had a blast playing it because you end up pounding to make Donkey Kong run, and then you'll clap to make him sort of attack and do it's just really interesting how they did that. A couple more GameCube games here. I finally got and added to my collection Killer 7. Killer 7 is it's this kind of notorious, weird-looking shooter on rails, I think. I haven't played it much yet, but I'm really looking forward to it. I love the art design in it. And then finally for the GameCube, I picked up Soulcalibur 2. This is the one with Link in it. And I'm not a huge fighting game fan, but I do enjoy these games, especially if I play them on easy. I know that sounds lame, but I kind of have to because I suck so bad. For the Super Nintendo, I picked up Super Mario World. And all of the Super Mario games are awesome. Love playing those. Choplifter 3. Very cool. Street Fighter 2. Now, I have to admit that I've never played a Street Fighter game in my life, and this was the first time I'd ever played one. I know some of you are gasping in horror, but it's true. And I got my ass kicked badly the first time I played this. On easy, it was not pretty. And then finally for the Super Nintendo, I picked up Ultima, The False Prophet. And I've been on an Ultima kick lately, and I'm excited to play this on the Super Nintendo. It actually looks pretty decent, and I've read some reviews, and I think it'll be fun. Alright, and so lately I've been looking to find a driving wheel for my PlayStation 2 on Craigslist. I've been trying to find one pretty cheap, and I ran into this guy who actually was willing to donate it to the Metal Jesus Man Cave, and I was super excited to get it. So he basically donated it's a GameStop edition driving wheel, and it's not bad. I want to say that actually I'd like to figure out how to adjust its dead zone, and I've read online that you can do that, so I need to do that. But you know what? A free driving wheel dedicated to my man cave is pretty cool, so I want to thank you for doing that. And as an extra bonus, he threw in a bunch of games for free, including Colin McRae Rally 3. Didn't own that one. Gran Turismo 3. Gran Turismo 4. And Need for Speed Most Wanted, PS2 of course. And then these are unopened, which I thought was pretty cool. So the two Need for Speed Underground 1 and 2, he just included in the box for free. So, man, if you're watching this video, I want to thank you for dedicating that to the Man Cave. It's awesome you did that. Also for the PlayStation 2 this month, I added a couple RPG games here. Star Ocean Till the End of Time. I used to own this when it first came out and didn't finish it, and traded it for some stupid reason, so getting it back was pretty cool. Suikoden 4, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Another sort of epic Japanese RPG. Wild Arms 3. This is a Western-style Japanese role-playing game. Very cool to get. So now I have the 3rd and the 5th one. And then I got just some random stuff that I found cheap. Star Wars Racer Revenge. Been looking forward to this because I actually really like the Dreamcast and the N64 version. And so this is kind of a sequel of sorts. Capcom Classics Collection. This has 22 classic Capcom games all on one disc. And from what I can tell, they're pretty accurate, pretty close, and pretty fun. A random game that actually doesn't look half bad. It's called Freaky Flyers. And it's kind of like Mario Kart in the air. And I know that there's a Mario Kart or Diddy Kart Racing or something like that did something similar to this. So, anyways, this is like $1. And finally, another shooter, because I've been on a shooter kick, as you know. Raiden 3 for the PlayStation 2. And this is awesome. This is actually probably one of my new all-time favorites. Just one of those games where you just get in the zone and it's got awesome graphics, and man, this is a ton of fun here. I found at Goodwill a Genesis Genistick. Looking to sort of get some different controllers for some of my consoles to make some of these other game types easier to play. This is not a great controller, but at Goodwill I think it was $1, so I figured I'd give it a shot. Alright, and then finally, I added 2 original Nintendo games. The first one is Kirby's Adventure. I've never played this before, and I'm looking forward to giving it a shot. And then finally, Super Mario Brothers, the original, the classic. So, I actually own this in the Duck Hunt kind of mix version of it, sort of the double pack. But getting this was a cool little find, and I think it was like $1. So, all right. Well, that's my pickups for this month. I want to thank you for watching my channel and subscribing. Take care.